So apparently, the co-founder of Counter-Strike has been outed as a pedophile. Oh man.
Yep.
Yeah, so I don't know the exact details. Like I read the article and everything like a few days ago. Apparently, he like had sex with a 15-year-old, I believe. No, younger than
I
that, and recorded it. And I don't even I don't even know. But this is now when people play Counter Strike, that's probably going to be all they're going to think about now.
ugh, gross.
It's like, when you go to
Um,
Subway, you think about the sandwiches. Now you think about a little bit more than that because of Jared. It's going to be like the
mhm.
same situation now with Counter
I
Strike.
heard that he was caught with an unrealistic amount of child porn on his computer.
Yeah. But he also
Like
did
from
he did also like have sex with minors, like it
no,
wasn't.
yeah. No, he totally did. But I do recall like that was one thing. He had an like an insane, unthinkable amount of child porn on his computer.
Well, that's how Jared got caught too. He had CP on his computer and the FBI or whatever was able to track that down. So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just crazy. I mean, it's some people might try to like sensationalize it as like, oh, this guy was a video game developer and the gaming industry has a problem with pedophilia or something like that. But this happens. I mean, this is everywhere now. You had Kevin Spacey recently. He got
Yeah.
outed. A whole
Oh,
bunch of other
that made
people.
me so sad.
Oh yeah, man. I liked House of Cards. I liked Kevin Spacey in Advanced Warfare too.
Kevin, yeah, Kevin Spacey is like he's such an amazing actor, and I'm not gonna sugarcoat that. He is an amazing actor, but oh my god, like that sucks.
It
You
does.
know,
It really does.
And
I'm not
it
gonna bother watching the next season of House of Cards because
yeah.
apparently they're doing one more and that's it. I'm not even gonna bother watching another one. I mean, it sucked. It sucked even before this whole thing came out. Like it really gone downhill in quality. But
Mm.
man, it's just this whole thing is just crazy. Like how many pedophiles there are out there. I hate how
The
some
whole
people try to point it out as oh, it's some people try to say it's just a sexual orientation. You see these BuzzFeed articles all the
oh
place.
jeez, yeah, dude, like you can't even. That's just not okay. You know, like but get okay. So hang on. Let me try to explain, and this is how I feel on this topic because I do need to be specific. People who are sexually attracted to kids have some sort of sickness. They must, right? To be attracted to kids. I remember that CS:GO guy. He had like naked pictures of 3-year-olds on his computer.
Oh my
Which
god.
how in the hell are you attracted to someone that young? It has to be some sort of sickness. To have a sickness like that
Yeah, I
and
mean,
never act on
14,
that?
like 15, 16, like that ain't my thing, but I see it, right?
Right.
But under like
No, that's
10-year-olds
understandable.
and 9-year-olds and 8-year-olds
Right.
like that, oh my god, it just makes me like want to throw up, honestly.
Exactly. Like it's horrible. But the thing is, people who have that kind of sickness, who are attracted to kids and never do anything, never. I can admire that because they were strong-willed. And it's gross and it sucks that they are attracted to kids, but the fact that they never did anything is admirable. The people who do things and then say it's my sexual preference, bull crap. That's just it's wrong. It's just not okay. And they're trying to like umbrella under the LGBT thing to be like,
Oh
no,
my
no, no, no,
god.
we're people too. You're not. You're a monster.
That's just
You've
gonna make
ruined
people
a
hate.
child's life.
That's just gonna make people hate LGBT even more. If
Oh, I know.
it's not gonna
And that's
help
not fair.
anybody.
No, that's not fair because LGBT didn't do anything wrong. Like
No.
it's just. I mean, yeah, that just annoys me a lot.
Yeah, it's
But
pretty. It's just awful. I mean, I can't even think about that. Like, you see all these stories of parents, who had their kids sexually molested, like actually
what?
going out, no, actually going out and murdering the person who did it, like actually murdering them, and
Oh,
like they try to put it out in the article like as if them being arrested and being charged for murder is like some kind of somehow justice. but it really isn't.
Yeah.
Like, they're the ones
Yeah.
doing the justice, in my opinion.
I mean, okay. So I totally 100% see what you're saying. But I mean, they also got to get in trouble for murder. You know, there's some things you got to leave to the authorities. But I couldn't imagine, like, oh, I got to say honestly, if I were in a situation where I had a child and my child was sexually assaulted, I could see myself easily killing someone over that.
Oh yeah, me
Easily.
too.
And I would go to prison for it. No problem. But I would deserve the prison sentence, and I know that. I would have already come to terms with that. You know what I mean? Like,
What if
there
they
is
don't
no
get? What if they don't get charged or convicted of anything, and they're just scot free?
they just got off scot-free? Like,
Yeah.
what do you mean? What do you mean exactly? Like, you know they did it.
Let me give
You
you an
believe your
example.
daughter.
Not in America,
Okay.
but in so we're kind of going into political territory here, but
That's fine.
I mean whatever. We're fine. So I don't know if you know about the migrant crisis in Germany.
I haven't heard anything about it.
Basically, so you know about the Syrian civil war and what's been going on in the Middle East. You know, the region's
Yes.
unstable, so you have a lot of refugees coming in into Europe. Most recently, you had Israel kick out all of their African refugees because they feel that having an African population is a threat to their existence, because they identify as a Jewish state. So if you have African people living there, they find that to be a threat. So, I mean, this is obviously a
Okay.
whole debate. A lot of people don't think that's right. A lot of people feel like, well, it's their right to kick out whoever they want, especially if they're not citizens. You know, these are people coming from other countries that, came there illegally, whatever. I mean, this isn't going to be – I'm not debating immigration or debating whether or not refugees should be accepted, but I think a lot of people on the pro-refugee side go a little bit too far. Okay, so in Germany – and in Europe in general, there are actually towns that have gone like completely Muslim. Like, it's like you're in a Middle Eastern country in a lot of places in England and Germany and France. It's like you're in a Muslim country, and all the women have to wear, the hijabs or the burqas, whatever it's called, and it's just the whole thing. But anyway, I'm kind of going off on a little on a tangent. But the most important thing that needs to come out of this. So Germany has taken in the most refugees out of all of the countries in Europe, right? And so what's been happening? So in the Middle East, I don't mean to offend any of my viewers from that region, or anyone who is of Middle Eastern descent, but this is the culture in the Middle East. If there's a woman walking down the street and you decide, you're gonna rape her, nothing happens to you, and that's considered normal in Islamic society. There's nothing wrong with rape. There's nothing wrong with a lot
Seriously?
of crimes that we find to be, very despicable. I mean, there's public beheadings. There's, if your wife cheats on you, she gets stoned to death in public. Women aren't allowed to drive. Women are pretty much treated like shit in the Middle East. And yeah, you can pretty much go up to any woman you want and rape them, and it's okay, no problem. So knowing this, it's okay to them in the country they come from. So they think in Germany it's okay. So they're going out in Berlin raping women in the street, raping German women in the street.
What?
And these people, these refugees, end up not getting convicted of anything because they didn't know any better. It was their culture. It was legal where they came from, so they shouldn't be convicted and put in prison in Germany. That's what the German authorities. That's the conclusion they came up with. So this is
No, they need to know that's wrong. That's just not okay.
So in that situation,
because then you can just use that excuse, you can just be like, I didn't know.
So in that situation where there's no justice at all, which happens a lot, especially in Germany, I that person's dead. I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, I'm putting that out
Yeah.
there. That person's dead.
I mean, how would you, oh my God, I can't even, like, I come up with these scenarios in my head and I'm like, good Lord, like, but you think about it, you have a wife and she comes home one day and she's like, yeah, I was raped today. And you're just like, oh, okay. Like, that just,
Women aren't
Oh my
women
god.
aren't human beings in Islamic society. It's just the truth. That's the reality of the situation, and
Yeah,
it's sad. Women were just permitted to drive in Saudi Arabia like a few months ago.
it's horrible.
Yeah, they can't drive,
Yeah.
and
I mean,
they're not allowed to expose any part of their skin at all. They have to wear, you know what I'm talking about. They have to wear that
yeah.
the
Yeah,
burqa.
yeah. Yeah. I've heard debates on the hijab before, and if it's a sexist thing or if it's a religious thing, or but yeah, I didn't know it was that bad. I'm gonna have to look into that. But that's, yeah, that's pretty crappy.
Yeah, so I mean, I
Um,
just brought that up because you're asking like what are the situations where people go away scot free. Well, look at no further than Germany.
right. I mean, okay. So I watched this movie that was actually horrible. Don't watch it. It's called The Lovely Bones.
Okay.
One of the worst movies I've ever seen. And in the movie, essentially, this little 8-year-old girl, um, she's murdered. I don't know if she was assaulted sexually, but I know she was murdered. And the guy got off on that. Like he would like clip off parts of her hair after she was dead and smell it,
Jesus
to
Christ.
remember. Yeah, it was like a really heavy movie. Um, but it was really stupid. Like, I'm making it cooler than it was. He never gets caught. The family, they know he did it, but he never gets caught. He just dies a horrible death at the end because the movie was like, yeah, that's payback, right? But he never like went in for his crimes. And the movie really made me angry because that was the state that everything was in. I mean, the movie took place in like the 60s or 70s. And that was the state that it was easy to get away with stuff back then. So to think now of someone doing something like that to a family member of mine, or even if I just saw someone on the street and to do nothing, um, or to know that they got off scot free, it I can understand why someone would go to such lengths, why someone would go find them and kill them. Like, that is understandable to me. Um, but it also doesn't mean that they get to go off scot free either.
Yeah. I mean it's just the whole it's just sad anyway. Any way you think about it, it's pretty bad. Um but let's see what else we can talk about. I think this podcast has gone way too sad. We talk about video game addiction, then we talk about we go from
Microtransactions,
yeah,
rape.
yeah. I mean, of course that's not funny, but I mean, just wow, it's just this way too sadder than I
I
thought.
mean, it's a thing. It sucks that it exists. Like, it's just the more people. What was it? It was the oh man, I can't think of it. Uh, there was the reason that, or the explanation behind why everything's gotten so much worse is population density. Um, and the whole idea is that as you have more people in one area, humans become, instead of something that you're like, oh, pleasure to see another fellow human being, you're like, oh god, he's here, I want him dead. And you'll see in like cities where everyone's compact, there's more murders and, you know, more atrocities like this, which makes sense as to why, I guess, I don't know if the Middle East is populated. Does this happen in China or Japan a lot? That I think would be a really good, because it's all isolated, a lot of people. But as far as I know about Chinese and Japanese people, they're just really kind.
Yeah, I mean, China's kind of a dictatorship, but I mean,
Yeah. Other than that, though, they're really kind.
yeah, I mean the people are nice, the government not so much. Like
Hmm.
you Google Tiananmen Square on Google, and an hour later you get a knock on your door by the secret police. So, yeah, I mean,
Awesome.
it's not great over there. I mean, I wouldn't live there. And there are also a lot of situations where you know how China has a lot of wilderness and a lot of like people travel there to go hiking or whatever. A lot of the North Koreans actually go out there and look for hikers and kidnap them and send them to North Korea
Oh man.
to like have English teachers or whatever. Like they target Americans and British people a lot, and they end up going missing.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, continue.
They end up going missing, and people are wondering like what the hell happened to them. And then you see a picture of them on North Korean television. That's them.
It's horrible. Two more sad things that kind of fall into this. A long time ago, there was a guy, I think it was 10 years ago, there was this guy who, he was a reporter, and he was in Korea, and he took some Korean propaganda off the wall, and they put him in like a hard labor camp for a long time. It's like he had to serve 10 years in a hard labor camp, and then he was just killed a few months ago, almost ready to come back home, and they just killed him. And I think that was probably their plan the whole time. Like, why not? And then this girl, this 16-year-old girl, I think she was 16. I could be totally wrong about that, but this is what I heard. Went to go join ISIS.
Yeah. That happens a lot too.
Yeah, and apparently they have like pictures of ISIS not treating her very well, and she's probably dead now.
Why the hell would a woman join ISIS? I mean, why would a man join ISIS? But I mean, especially a woman. Like,
yeah, I don't have any idea.
Oh man, yeah.
But that was it. Last two sad things.